Hi, today we'll talk about SSH key authentication when you log into a Unix server. So normally you use a user ID and password to log in. So you enter your user ID and the target server IP address, and then it prompts you to enter the password. That's a password-based authentication. You also can do a SSH key pair authentication. Normally, when you, as an Oracle DBA, when you install your Oracle database or you want to do some automation and scripting, you need to set this SSH key authentication, where it doesn't ask you for a password. You just have to set this SSH private key and public key. I'll explain it in a minute, and it does a seamless authentication without prompting you for any password or anything. So SSH is secured cell. It provides a way to do a encrypted, secured communication with the server. There are some older method to do remote login to server, which was telnet and rlogin. But the problem is they are not secure. Any information that you send over the network to the server or from the server are plain text. Anyone can sniff at the network packets and read what exactly you are sending to the server and what data you're receiving from the server. So they're not exactly secure. So but the 90s, when everything was connected wide network, and everybody was connecting through internet. So we needed something, a secure channel to do this communication and remote login. So SSH is a better way to do a secure communication. So we'll just explain first in theoretically how this SSH key authentication works, and then we'll also look at demo of configuring this SSH key authentication from Unix machine to another Unix machine, and also from your Windows laptop to your Unix server. How you can set it up. So when you so for SSH key, you before you use it, you need to generate the key. So you use a SSH key generation command from your SSH utility. So you need to have the SSH utility installed on your client and the server. Normally, usually the SSH is already installed with Unix. So when you generate a SSH key, you get it will generate one private key and one public key. Public key you can share with anyone. You can copy to the destination server, any server. Even free to do so. But private key, it's something that you do not should not share with anyone. It should always stays in with you in your machine. You should not copy to any other machine, any other server, because if anyone gets your private key, then he can pretend as you and log in as you. So and but it's something like a public key, that if there is a lock, then public key can put a lock on that lock, but private key can only private key can unlock it. So you don't private public key you can share with anyone, but private key you should like, guard with your life. You should not share with anyone. So normally what happens is after you generate your key, this public key you transfer it to the destination server, and then private key you keep it in your local machine, and then you can use the SSH key authentication. We'll see how exactly the steps work, how to configure it. Now, what how exactly it works? So when a client which has a private key sends a SSH communication request to server, uh, the server will have the public key for the client, because during the setup configuration you need to copy the public key. So the server look for in its list of public key whether it has the public key for this client. If it finds the public key, then it generates a random text and send that text for a sign-in challenge to the client. And the client uses the private key for and generate a signature. So that signature can be created only through the private key, and that signature it sends it back to the server. Now server validate the signature using the public key that he has for this client. So the public key can validate the signature, but public key cannot generate a signature. Only private key can generate a signature. And then if the public key validates it, finds it genuine that yes, this is a matching private key for this public key, then the signature is validated and the session is established. This is like the newer or modern SSH method, how it works. But in older SSH version, uh, the server will send, it will generate a random text, and that text it will encrypt using the public key and send it to the client to decrypt it. So the client will use the private key to decrypt that text, that and then send back the uh, original text back to the server. And if it is the like the if it can decrypt it, then it proves that it is the correct genuine private key, and then the session will be established. So in this case, the public key can only encrypt the text. It cannot decrypt it. You need private key to decrypt the message. So that's how it works. That's the older SSH1 version, SSH1. In SSH2, the newer method it uses you sends server sends a sign in challenge, and the client sends back the signature. This method is this encryption and this public key and private key is only for authentication. For ongoing communication also, because it's a secure tunnel, ongoing communication is also encrypted. That uses little different methods of encryption and decryption, but we're discussing here only uh, SSS key authentication, how it works. Now we'll look at practically how the steps work, how you can configure SSS key authentication from your Unix machine, one Unix machine to another Unix machine in server, and then from your local Windows laptop to the server. Let's say I have logged into this server, user one local host, and I want to connect to another server. So I'll use SSH. So SSH should be installed. So if you say which SSH, so the SSH is already installed in this machine, and on the destination server also you'll find it, because it's mostly it comes when you install your Linux OS. So let's try to log in to the destination server. I'll use SSH probably 10.0.0.251. This is my destination server. It's asking for a password. Now I'm logged in. So now since the SSH authentication is not set up, it's asking for a password. Now let's exit from here. Now I'm at the my local server. Now I'll set up the SSH authentication from the local server. So I need to generate the key pair, the private key and public key at the source server. Then I'll copy the public key to the destination server. Then I can do the SSH authentication type. So let's try that. SSH slash keygen. There are a few options, but this default will work for most of the cases. So it's generating a public and private RSA key pair. So it gives me a default location for my keys. So it's my home folder, and then .ss is this. So I'll just use the default one. So I'll keep enter. Then it asks me to enter the passphrase. Passphrase is also to another layer of security before you use authentication. So I'll not use any passphrase from blank empty for no passphrase. Enter the same passphrase. So hit enter again. So this is the part the ID is created. So your identification has been saved in my home folder slash home user one dot ssh folder, and then the public key is idrsa.pob. So let's go to this folder. So you can see there is a idrsa. This is my private key, and id underscore rsa.pub. This is the public key. The public key I can transfer it to the destination server. So instead of manually copying it, and you need to copy to a specific directory called authorized keys, you can use a utility called ssh copy id. Then you can put the user, you can log in, put the login information for your destination server. So this command will put the public key in the right places. So you put the password. So you can say number of keys added 1. Now try logging in into the machine with this. So if I do now SSH Oracle and 10.0.0.251. If I now try to log in, I have already copied my public key. The private key is in this my local machine. So local host. So just hit enter. So it will log in seamlessly without asking for any password. And if I'm in the Linux 8 server, so if I go cd home directory, cd SSH, look at what are the files you have under a .ssh folder. Is authorized keys. So the public keys from multiple clients. It's not like only you are connecting from only one machine. There could be other people who will be connecting from different machines. So if they copy their public key, all the public keys will come and stay in this authorized key. So if you do like cat authorized keys, you will find the key for user one at localhost. If you add another public key for a different machine, it will append it here. So now this is how you set it up from Unix to Unix SSH key authentication. Now let's look at how we'll configure it from your local Windows laptop to a Unix machine, so that you don't have to enter the password and you just give the user ID and IP address. It will all seamless. It will connect. Okay, now let's say I'm trying to connect from a Windows laptop to the Unix server. Now this is a putty software. I'm using the putty software, and putty software is a SSH utility for Windows environment. So all the SSH related utility you'll find in putty. So if you want to install uh, putty, PSCP used to copy files from Windows in the command line Windows to Unix server, and putty gen is to generate the SSH keys. So they are some important tools that you can download from putty.org. So make sure you go to the right website, correct website, putty.org, and then you can download all this software. Now let's see if I connect here Linux 8. That's the local host server that we just used it. So if I do a load, so you can see here we have user one at the Unix server IP address. So if I click on open, so user ID, I've already provided user ID and IP address. So it will just ask me the password, because this is a I've not set up the SSH key, so it will go for a password based authentication. So I'll put my password. So I have logged in. So this is a password based authentication. Now let's set up the SSH and see how we can use the SSH authentication. Let's open a new session. So first we need to set the create the keep pair. So let's open this puttygen.exe. Now we'll generate just look at a few information like number of bits in a generated key, 2 KB, and this is RSA, type of RSA, and generate a public private key pair, load an existing private key pair. So we'll generate it. If you once you click on generate, so it says please generate some randomness by moving your mouse over the blank area. So you just move your mouse, based on that will generate a random key for you. The key is generated. Now this is the public key. It says public key for passing into OpenSSH authorized key file. So on your target server, you have to go to your home folder /.ssh authorized keys and put this. Let's save the public key in my software folder. Just save in the text file, and then say the private key. So we are not using a passphrase, so just save it. And so this is a .ppk file. So um, key private, just save it. Okay, and then just copy this, and then you can close it because the key is generated. You can close it, and then go to your putty session. This is the connections I have loaded. So you have user 1.10.0.04 and go to SSH, go SSH, authentication and credential, and here you'll add the private key here. So do browse and add this private key, and then go to the session and save it. So you don't have to add it every time. So, but before you connect, you need to add that public key to the authorized key on the target server. So you go here. I'm on the target server now, and cd home folder, and then .sh, cd home folder slash .sh, and then do vi authorized keys. You create a file called authorized keys and add the key here, and then save it. So after you add that public key to authorized keys, make sure you change the permission of authorized keys to 600, and then you come back to your buddy session. This is my Linux 8. Just double click on this. You will be connected automatically with your pub key SSH key authentication to your target server. So see, it's connected. So this is how you can set up your SSH key authentication from your Windows laptop to the Unix server. That's it for now. Thank you. Bye.